So it's an ongoing process as part of the democratic process. The same question to you, Sherman, if I may. From your position as currently president, I think, of the Association of Professional Futurists, you have a membership that goes across the world, and therefore they must have some connections with this work in governments. What's your understanding of how governments are preparing and responding?
Anticipatory governance is not really just about the tools and the methods and the reports that we employ, that we communicate. There are a lot of things that you need to consider in order for it to succeed and then hopefully not fail in the process. Because eventually, when we speak about future visions, really it's about imagining alternative future environments and using those insights to generate relationships, right? Foresight primarily is among other things, but I think one of the core contexts of this is building interpersonal relationships in order for you to generate a shared vision, a shared understanding about what our preferred futures are. Because really, when we get to decide on things that matters to us, it's almost always about our value judgments. Those things that we are willing to compromise, things that we are unwilling to compromise, because this is a civilizational conversation as well. It's not just about policies in the short run and in the short term, but it's really about the future of our communities and our societies in the process. But then fundamental to what makes foresight work, as was mentioned a moment ago, and I think this is something that we need to have a lot of conversation, is about the future of public trust. You know, it reminds me a moment ago that it says, in fact, in my constitution, the Philippine Constitution, when you open the page, right away you will see that public office is a public trust. Now, what would public office look like in a highly augmented, artificially intelligent world? It was mentioned a moment ago that can AI erode public trust or enhance it? Now, what are the Monday morning strategies that parliaments can do today? I've heard several ideas yesterday about creating comprehensive regulatory frameworks. But the nation states, you know, have processes on their own. Like, you know, they're gonna do whatever they need to do. But then, of course, hopefully we could bridge those gaps and needs and have really a regulatory framework that is practical, ethical, and that could be applied in different contexts. Four things that I would like to recommend here is the idea of transparent algorithms. Right? What is that? You know, state governments must have, when they need it, the power to access the inner workings of artificial intelligent models subjected to scrutiny. We cannot allow, perhaps, we'll see. You know, we are navigating this, but then in the interest of the collective or the state, right? Just have the companies and corporations audit themselves, right? I think we need to have oversight, among other things, because I've also worked for 7 years in technology companies, and I've seen the inner workings of how algorithms are made. You know, we try to, like, some sort of set some risk management systems to make sure that we comply with global standards and the needs of our client. Second thing is that we need to do some regular audits, whether these audits are AI auditing AI or humans plus AI auditing AI algorithms. So it could be a combination of both. I've seen that there are several companies in the world right now that they use AI to audit AIs. Yeah. And it's actually happening now. They are actually using it, and it might be some sort of a service that they could outsource to public sectors. Another recommendation that I would say that we can do, perhaps have a conversation Monday morning, is that human must always be in the loop systems of artificial intelligence. You know, we need to create a framework that inserts the human there, right? You cannot just allow the AI doing this, the loop itself. The human has to be there. So, and then, of course, I think I've heard Jerry said this, that, okay, who's going to switch it off? Humans has to have them to make the final decision. And, of course, I think this is very important, the ethical guidelines about AI and stakeholder citizen engagement. And second thing, of course, we've seen this in the past, as far as governments are concerned, that there will always be whistleblowers, right? About the inner workings of all of these things. What the government or state should do is perhaps provide protections to whistleblowers. And second is the prohibition of lethal AIs. Of course, the venture capitalists would see the value of AI in a different way. The intellectual, like the parliamentarians, would see the value and emergence of AI in a different way. The laborer would see it in a different way because they have different ways of knowing reality. But what about the military? Right? When it comes to the issue of national security and defense and weaponization of AIs, should we have a conversation where we must ban or prohibit the emergence of lethal AIs, which is apparently emerging today?
Right, thank you. Quick. So, yeah, some things governments are doing, some things they ought to do, I think, is what we were hearing there. And